Well, as Dominic just said, there's one day to go before the midterm elections, and the results could affect the political balance of the U.S. Senate and potentially the business environment and the markets. John Harwood joins us now with more on tomorrow's big races. So nice to have you here on set with us, John, a day before the elections. So as you look over these races that you've been covering, to what extent has the economy been the theme?
Well, not as much as you'd think, and certainly not as much as Democrats would have hoped, because remember, we've had an unemployment rate that's come down 2 full percentage points since the president's second term began. Stock market's up more than 25%. We just completed the fastest 6-month period of growth since 2003, and yet President Obama's ratings are down, and Democrats are poised to lose in the election. That's partly, Susie, because the nature of the modern economy is such that when it's going well, the benefits tend to flow to a relatively small number of people and not to the vast majority of voters.
Democrats poised to lose, which means you think that the Republicans will take control of the U.S. Senate, giving them full control of both houses of Congress. Why should business care about a result like that?
Well, a few reasons. First of all, there are several elements of the legislative agenda that are important to business. Trade deals, somewhat more likely with a Republican Senate than a Democratic Senate. You've got the prospect of tax reform, not likely to be completed in the next 2 years, but certainly that discussion is going to continue. Republicans have different visions of how they would do that, somewhat more business-friendly than Democrats. And you've also got the question of energy policy. Remember, this president has proposed very far-reaching changes in the amount of carbon emissions that many in the oil and gas industry are hostile to, and that's one of the reasons why they're such a big contributor in these elections.
You said just a moment ago you were talking about how the stock market has done so far in the Obama administration. But what about if the Republicans take the Senate? Will that move the markets? Will that make a big difference?
Well, you're going into a natural period where, as you all were just discussing, the market tends to do well. But interestingly, if you look back at the history of American government in recent decades, you find that the strongest S&P performance has been when you had a Democratic president and an all-Republican Congress. Not very many cases there, so it's kind of a small sample, but certainly nothing for business to worry about, in particular, the prospect of gridlock between the two chambers.
All right, John, thank you so much. And I know you're going to be covering gavel to gavel, so to speak, of all these elections tomorrow.